Friendships can end, and that simple fact changes everything about political disagreement with friends. Your parents remain your parents regardless of politics. But friends can walk away, and this means you must earn their continued presence through how you treat them, including when you disagree about things like matter. And you also need to see if they treat you well, even if you disagree. And if they don't, then you need to decide whether you want to keep being friends with the person or not. So, what's actually at stake? You choose this person, they choose you. Now you discover they hold views you find wrong or even harmful, and the question becomes whether the friendship survives this discovery. Imagine that your friend supports Brexit and you opposed it, or they think that universal basic income is madness while you think it's essential. Or you disagree fundamentally about trans rights, climate change, or criminal justice. The specific issue matters less than this reality. Handle the disagreement badly and you lose a friend. They stop returning your calls, they make excuses to avoid you, eventually you drift apart entirely. Or you stop calling them and you make excuses to avoid them and you drift apart the same way. This happens because friends stay only whilst they want to stay. Make them feel stupid, judged, or dismissed, and they leave. Family members might avoid you at a gathering, but they remain family. Friends simply exit. Imagine that you wanted to change their mind about climate change and instead you lost someone who made you laugh, who knew your history, and who actually enjoyed spending time with you. You can speak to friends with directness that family hierarchy prevents. You can say to a friend, I think you're wrong about this, and here's why. In ways you cannot say to perhaps your father. You could admit, I don't actually know enough about this issue to a friend, in ways you might not be able to admit to a competitive sibling. Imagine that your friend argues passionately for approaches you believe would cause serious harm. You can be direct. I care about you. And I think you're completely wrong about this. The evidence shows that this would hurt the very people you want to help. Will you look at what I found? This works because your friendship established mutual respect. They know you're not attacking them. You're engaging seriously enough to challenge them directly. This same directness applies in reverse. Your friend can tell you about your position on taxation is economically illiterate, or that your views on foreign intervention ignore crucial realities. And this bluntness carries weight precisely because they chose to remain your friend whilst disagreeing with you fundamentally. They're not dismissing you. They're taking you seriously enough to argue forcefully. Use what you do together. You probably became friends whilst doing something together, like playing sport, hiking, working on projects, cooking, attending events, drinking. Use these shared activities as context for political conversations. Imagine that you and your friend go running together twice a week. Use the runs. Political conversations whilst running feel different than sitting across a table debating. You're side by side, moving together, which reduces confrontation. Introduce topics naturally. I've been thinking about what you said about housing. Can you explain more about why you think that? The running creates rhythm that prevents things from getting too heated. When tension rises, you can comment on the route, catch your breath, let the moment pass. You and your friend cook together regularly, discuss immigration whilst chopping vegetables. The task creates natural pauses where both of you can think. The collaboration on the meal echoes the collaboration you're attempting in understanding each other. Plus, it's harder to storm off when you're halfway through making dinner together. Imagine you attend films or exhibitions together. Afterwards, your conversation about what you saw can naturally extend to political questions it raised. Imagine you watched a documentary about the welfare system. Your discussion about the film becomes a discussion about benefits. The shared experiences give you common ground which to explore your different conclusions without it feeling like combat. Draw lines when you need to. When political conversations repeatedly damage the friendship, you can establish limits that protect what matters. This works with friends in ways it can't work with family or colleagues. You can propose directly. I value your friendship, and I notice that when we discuss politics, we both get wound up and it damages things between us. What if we agreed to keep politics out of our time together? We can focus on what actually brought us together. This boundary works because friends meet in contexts they choose. You can control when you see each other and what you do together. Your friend might resist, but these issues are important. We should be able to discuss them. And you can respond, they are important and I am willing to discuss them properly in a different format. But I don't want every time we meet to become a political debate. Can we separate those conversations from our regular friendship? And this separates the friendship from the politics, allowing both to continue. Or propose structured political conversations. What if once a month we set aside 2 hours specifically for discussing contentious issues? We'll agree on ground rules beforehand, we'll both come prepared to listen, and we'll have clear time. The rest of our time together stays focused on our actual friendship. This acknowledges that political discussion matters whilst preventing it from consuming everything. These boundaries work because friends choose to respect them or they stop being friends. With family or colleagues, someone violates boundaries and you still see them. With friends, persistent boundary violations end the friendship, which creates an actual incentive to respect what you've agreed. Test your thinking. Friends who disagree with you politically can strengthen your thinking in ways echo chambers never will. When your friend who opposes your stance on climate change challenges your proposals, they force you to defend them properly. When you can't answer their questions, you found gaps in your knowledge. When they introduce evidence you hadn't considered, you either integrate it or discover why your existing position withstands it. This only works if you invite it. I'm trying to strengthen my thinking on this. Will you argue against my position as forcefully as you can? I want to see where my reasoning breaks down. This transforms potential conflict into collaboration. You're using your disagreement productively. The same applies in reverse. You challenge their positions rigorously, helping them identify weaknesses they hadn't noticed. This mutual testing strengthens both of you whilst deepening the friendship. You become thinking partners who sharpen each other. Know when to walk away. Sometimes you must decide whether to continue investing in friendships where political disagreement causes persistent damage. This requires honest assessment. Ask yourself, does this friend engage in good faith? Do they listen to me as seriously as I listen to them? Do they respect my intelligence even whilst disagreeing with my conclusions? Do they value our friendship enough to work through disagreement carefully? If yes, persist. Political disagreement, even profound disagreement, need not end friendships where mutual respect exists. Ask yourself, does this friend dismiss my concerns without engagement? Do they question my motives rather than my reasoning? Do they refuse to acknowledge any validity in my perspective? Do they treat political agreement as a requirement for friendship? If yes, the friendship is already over. You're just pretending otherwise. The distinction lies in whether the person values you as a whole human being or reduces you to your political positions. Friends who disagree but still see you as a complex and thoughtful person can remain friends. Friends who let political disagreement collapse their entire perception of you have already left emotionally. But remember, maybe you have friends and you find their position so abhorrent, or their reasoning so flawed, or their ability to back up their opinions with logic isn't there. So it's possible that you don't want to carry on having a friendship with that type of person, and I believe that is definitely your prerogative, and I certainly have done that before. When you choose to end a friendship because politics has poisoned it, be direct. I valued our friendship, but our political disagreements are damaging my respect for you, and I sense the same is happening for you towards me. I think we need to step back. This honesty is possible because friendships are voluntary. You can acknowledge when it no longer works. What this actually requires: handle political disagreement badly with a friend and they stop choosing you. Handle it well and it survives, and maybe it's really worthwhile, because if we just abandon all our friends who think differently from us, we are then creating our bubble and our echo chamber, and it can be really important to have those friends with different opinions who can help you check your reasoning, but more importantly, you actually want to make a difference and their views are so what you consider not good. You've got an opportunity there to persuade them to change their mind, and they're probably more likely to listen to you as a friend because they've chosen you because they respect you. So it requires listening as carefully to your friend as you would to anybody else you hope to influence. It requires respecting their reasoning even when you think they're wrong. It requires acknowledging their concerns rather than dismissing them. It requires recognizing that affection alone can't overcome contempt. Friends who navigate political disagreements successfully prove that the polarization fracturing society is not inevitable. You can disagree fundamentally while still choosing each other, but this only happens through real engagement.